Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise and honor and glory to where it's due. To Yahweh Ba'ashim Yasha, Ba'ashim Arkakadas. Giving all glory and honor to the Almighty Yahweh Ba'ashim Yasha, the Ancient of Days, the Ark of Beauty. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, who rule well and tell the truth. Salutations to the sincere brothers out there who preach in this truth and edifying their brothers and their sisters while studying diligence, preaching the downfall of this kingdom, and bring the elect back to the Most High Yahweh Shemishah. Well, salutations to the elect scattered abroad. Today, this is your brother Ayawab coming at you today with another lesson entitled, We Must Pray More and Fast More. Slakia. It's like I was a little thirsty, but we must pray more and fast more, because we're coming up on them end times, Akim, where we're not gonna be able to just sit back and be content, because as it said in Romans 13 and 11. Go ahead, bring it out. This is Romans 13, verse 11. And that knowing the time that now it is high time to wake out of sleep. For now is our salvation nearer than we believed. So we're coming up on them end times. And we gotta pray more. We gotta fast more, read more. This, that, and the other. We can't just be content. Let's look at the definition of content. You can't be content. Definition of content.
Content.
He says content, but content in a state of peaceful happiness, satisfy, a state of satisfaction, satisfied. Let's get these. So satisfaction, comfort, satisfaction, fulfillment of one's wishes, expectation, or needs, or the pleasure derived from this. Satisfaction, comfort. Let's see if there are any other definitions. There we go. Perfect. Where's it at? Here we go. Content. To make yourself accept something as satisfactory, although it could be better. Where's the one that I sent? Here it is. Content. Pleased with your situation and not hoping for change or improvement. We can't be content. We can't just say, okay, we've done enough. We've done enough. We don't need to improve more. And it says right here, although it could be better. We must always be better. We must always do better and be better. Strive for greatness. Strive to be better. And we're coming up on the end times to where we're not going to have these videos to watch. We're not going to be able to go on YouTube and watch videos, see how the other Akim are doing. We're not going to be able to just text one of the Akim and be like, hey, how you doing? We're not gonna be able to go to camp, get on YouTube, make videos. And when that happens, and even now, we're gonna have to pray more and fast more. Because in those times, there's gonna be difficult times, more tribulation, more persecution, more temptations, them evil spirits. All them things are gonna come stronger and stronger. And what did Yahweh Shai say? What did I say? Damn. Matthew 17. So I'm gonna start at 18. This is when the disciples couldn't bring a devil out of a person, or out of a person. And it says, this is Matthew 17 verse 18. And Yahushua rebuked the devil, and he departed out of him, and the child was cured from that very hour. Then came the disciples to Yahushua apart and said, Why could not we cast him out? And Yahushua said unto them, Because of your unbelief. For verily I say unto you, if ye have faith as a grain of mustard seed, ye shall say unto this mountain, Remove hence to yonder place, and it shall remove, and nothing shall be impossible unto you. Verse 21, Howbeit this kind goeth not out but by praying and fasting. So these evil spirits is going to come stronger and stronger. And we're going to have to pray, and they're going to try to latch onto you and jump onto you. And you're going to have to pray and fast that them evil spirits don't, that they remove and they go to another place, to yonder place. This is Joel 2, I'm going to start at 11. And the Lord shall utter his voice before his army, for his camp is very great. For he is strong that executeth his word. For the day of the Lord is great and very terrible, and who can abide it? Verse 12, Therefore also now, saith the Lord, turn ye even to me with all your heart, with fasting, and with weeping, and with mourning. And rend your heart and your garments, and turn unto the Lord your God, for he is gracious and merciful, slow to anger, and of great kindness, and repenteth him of evil. So we have to fast. The Lord, it pleases the Lord when you fast, and plus the fasting is good for your body. It cleanses out your I forget what they call the inside of your stomach, but whatever it is, fasting is good for you, and it also pleases the Lord. This is Tobit 12 and verse 8. Prayer is good with fasting, and alms and righteousness. A little with righteousness is better than much with unrighteousness. It's better to give alms than to lay up gold. So, yeah, your prayers are good. Your prayers are heard. But when you fast and you pray, that's even better. That's even better. It's like your prayers are, when you fasting and you're praying, it's like your prayers are magnified. It's like your prayers is on the highest volume, and your prayers will be heard on high. So it's good to fast. Your prayers will be heard. And our forefathers and our foremothers, they fasted. And when they fasted, the Lord heard them because it pleased the Lord. And I'll go ahead and bring out that account. So this is Esther. I forget. I don't know. Esther. I'm gonna say Esther. So this is Esther. I'm sorry. At 4. But this is when there's this dude named Haman, and Mordecai, and he wouldn't bow down to the king. So the dude Haman, one of the kings, this is when they were in a captivity. But in Mordecai is a Jew, and he wouldn't bow down to the king. And Haman, he got all jealous, and he wanted to kiss ass to the king and said, "Well, you got the Jews who don't want to worship you, but want to worship their own God." And then he asked the king to it's like, I'm going brain dead, but he asked the king if I'm gonna go ahead and bring it out since I'm over here stuttering and shit. I'm just gonna get right to the point. This is Esther 3 verse 8. And Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, there is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of thy kingdom, and their laws are diverse from all people, neither keep they the king's laws. Therefore it is not for the king's profit to suffer them. If it please the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed, and I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hands of those that have the charge of the business, to bring it into the king's treasury. And the king took his ring from his hand and gave it to Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the Jews' enemy. And the king said unto Haman, the silver is given to thee, the people so, to do with them as it seemeth good to thee. And this was on I believe it was. So it was on the 12th day of the first month, and then it's lucky. And I think it was on the 13th day of the first month when they put it in place, and then on the 13th day of the 12th month is when it says, and the letters were sent by post. This is Esther 3 verse 13. And the letters were sent by post into all the provinces, to destroy, to kill, and to cause to perish all Jews, both young and old, little children and women, in one day, even upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is in the month of Adar, and to take the spoil of them for a prey. So this dude Haman, he was trying to kiss ass and said, "Hey, you got Jews who don't want to keep your commandments or don't want to keep your laws. Let's kill them because you don't need them." And the king, he said, "Okay." But there was the queen, the king's wife named Esther. She was a Jew, and what did she end up doing? I'm about to bring it out. This is. I'm just going to get right to the point. So this is Esther. I'm going to start at 4 verse 15. Then Esther bade them return, make Mordecai. It's Mordecai, Slakia. Mordecai Then Esther bade them return Mordecai this answer: Go, gather together all the Jews that are present in Shushan, and fast ye for me, and neither eat nor drink 3 days, night or day. I also and my maidens will fast likewise, and so will I go into the king, which is not according to the law, and if I perish, I perish. So Mordecai went his way and did according to all that Esther maid commanded him. So Esther and all the Jews fasted 3 days. And then I'm going to go to the next. And then this was in a time when the king was like in his own little place, and nobody was allowed to go into the king's gates. And if you did, and if you did, I'm just gonna, since I found it, it says this is Esther 4 verse 11. All the king's servants and the people of the king's provinces do know that whosoever, whether man or woman, shall come into the king into the inner court who is not called, there is one law of his to put him to death, except such to whom the king shall hold out the golden scepter that he may live. But I have not been called to come into the king these 30 days. So the king was to himself. And if you went before the king and he didn't hold out that golden staff or the golden scepter, you put to death. And you either got to be called or if you do go, he got to hold out that golden scepter for you. But I'm gonna go on this verse, or this Esther 5 verse 1. Now it came to pass on the 3rd day, so this after they finished their fast, that Esther put on her royal apparel, so her best clothes, and stood in the inner court of the king's house over against the king's house. And the king sat upon his royal throne in the royal house over against the gate of the house. And it was so, when the king saw Esther, the queen, standing in the court, that she obtained favor in his sight. So he was looking at her like, oh, she's looking good. She got her royal apparel on. She's looking nice. And the king held out to Esther the golden scepter that was in his hand. So Esther drew near and touched the top of the scepter. Then said the king unto her, What wilt thou, Queen Esther, and what is thy request? It shall be even given thee to the half of the kingdom. So after those 3 days, the Lord stirred up the mind of the king to be like, to stir up his mind to hold out that golden scepter for her and grant her request. And I'm gonna go to the next chapter and get straight to the point. So this is, I'm going to start at 1. Esther 7 verse 1. So the king and Haman came to the banquet with Esther the queen, and the king said again unto Esther on the 2nd day at the banquet of wine, What is thy petition, Queen Esther? And it shall be granted thee. And what is thy request? And it shall be performed, even to the half of the kingdom. Then Esther the queen answered and said, If I have found favor in thy sight, O king, and if it please the king, let my life be given me and my petition and my people at my request. For we are sold, and I and my people, to be destroyed, to be slain, and to perish. But if we had been sold for bondmen and bondwomen, I had held my tongue, although the enemy could not countervail the king's damage. Then the king Ahasuerus answered and said unto Esther the queen, Who is he, and where is he that durst presume in his heart to do so? So the king said, Who wants to destroy you? Who thinks to do this? And Esther said, verse 6, The adversary and enemy is this wicked Haman. Then Haman was afraid before the king and the queen. And the king arose in front of a banquet of wine, and his wrath went into the palace garden. And Haman stood up to make request for his life. To Esther the queen, for he saw that there was evil determined against him by the king. So I'm just going to continue. And then the king returned out of the palace garden to the place of the banquet of wine, and Haman was fallen upon the bed wherein Esther was. Then said the king, will he force the queen also before me in the house? As the word went out of the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face. And Harbonah, one of the chamberlains, said before the king, behold, also the gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman had made for Mordecai, who had spoken good for the king, standeth in the house of Haman. Then the king said, hang him thereon. So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. Then was the king's wrath pacified. So they fasted 3 days, and the Lord stirred up the mind of the king to be on the side of Esther. And that's what the Lord hears. Your prayers are magnified when you fast. The Lord is pleased when you fast. When you're giving up eating, drinking. Because that's something that people, that these basic people love to do. They love to eat. And they hear their belly growl. They don't even want to hear their belly growl. They don't even want to think about not eating. You got to put off them fleshly ways, and you gotta perform these fasts because the Lord is pleased by it. And in the end, so they ended up hanging Haman, and the king ended up not killing the Jews because the Lord stirred up the mind of the king not to perform that duty, that slaughtering. So the king is pleased, Akim, with the fasting, and we must fast and pray more, especially in the end times now, because we are coming to the end. But that's all I had. First of all, say Ka Halayim La Yahweh Hashem Shabbat Shemar Kakadas. Giving all glory and honor to the Almighty Yahweh Hashem Yeshua. Double honor to the elders and Apostle Great Millstone, who were well taught the truth. Shalom to the sincere brothers out there who preaching the truth. And shalom to the elect scattered abroad. Lord willing, this video was edifying to the spirit, to the body, to the fold. And may you have peace and stay strong, stay diligent. Kwam Yashala.